Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with REMAX, the Golfi team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show with host Stephanie Vivier.
Hello, Rob. Oh my goodness, I can't believe another week has gone by and it's time to chat with you again. You know, it seems like time is flying, but I know in that time, a lot is happening in the world of real estate. So excited to catch up with you.
Yeah, the weather's been good, except, a couple of rainfalls, but I think the lawns needed it a little bit. And but otherwise, real estate's moving, and it's moving actually at a decent pace, not at the pace that we were used to 4 or 5 years ago. But it is moving, and I do feel that it's going to be like this. It's going to be slow and steady, nice and even, and but in the new year, next year, I do feel it'll pick up a bit, and then the following years after that, it's going to pick up quite a lot quicker. So it just we just have to go through this economic time. So the people, I'll tell you, and it was funny, I was having this conversation, is that the best time people for retiring was probably in 2020, 21, right? They got out. Let's say they wanted to rent a house or they wanted to move away or do something. In 2021, if you retired, you would have been very comfortable today still. Now, a lot of business people, because of the way the real estate market went, they're actually, if they were planning on retiring, like within the last 4 years, they're probably in it for now another 5 years. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Sometimes retirement, if you're in business, could delay you in retiring because of economic times, right? And I was just, and like, I mean, that's if you were an entrepreneur and you're working in business and things, and what happens is, because of the economic times, there's been a bit of a setback for business people, investors, builders, developers, although everything to do with real estate, everything pretty well, the economic engine is the real estate that kind of runs, is the engine of the economic for the country. So if you were planning on retiring and you in the last 4 years, you probably have to stick it out. Now, if you did retire before during that high boom and got out, you got out clean slate without having to deal with the economic times. But talking about that is the interest rates. Now, so I went online. Usually I have either we have two mortgage brokers on hand here at the Golfi team, but over here it was talking about the interest rates. How the war and everything that's happening now. Canada's benchmark interest rate is holding steady, but rising energy prices and geopolitical conflicts spark worries about future hikes. Most major banks expect rates to stay flat through the 2026 before possible increases in 2027. So, though inflation risks keep markets volatile. So they think the rates may go up. So the thing is, if you know you're buying a house, lock in right now. If you know you're going to buy a house in the next, I think they can hold it, I think 120 days. So your rate. So lock it in now, and then let's say that if the rates go lower, you'll get the lower rate, but at least you don't get the higher rate. Now, there's, the hikes, it's the global energy shocks, like what's happening in the Middle East, trade pressures, with the trade split forecast. Most institutions like RBC, BMO, and TD predict holds through 2026, but Scotiabank and market implied models project potential small bumps in the inflation if inflation persists. So we did have a small hike, I think about a week or two ago, and so that's just kind of showing that they're just kind of keeping things going. But right now, I think you can get a 3-year fix, depending on the mortgage broker or company that you use, is a 3-year fix for 3.89%. A 5-year fixed at 4%. Again, these are good rates that I'm giving you. 5-year variable, now 3.35. Now that can change anytime, but I like in the last probably 30 or 40 years, only one time was not a good time to go variable, and that was in 2022 and 21.
Hmm.
That was the only time.
Yeah.
But
And really, people, if they had variable for a while, they probably, made it up if you take a look at the whole life term of the mortgage, even though it ended up costing them more a little bit for a while there. If you amortize it all out, it probably still worked out better.
yes, yes, variable in the long run always wins, but the tough times are really tough. That's the hard part. And so if like a family that went variable, and then when the interest rates went going up and up and up, it was hurting them. Like it affects them like the next month, the next, which if you have a fixed rate, which everybody did in 2021 and the beginning of 2022 at a great rate, and then all the renewals are coming up this year and some parts of next year, the 5 years that people had the 1.5%, like that's unbelievable. If you got that, you actually paid down quite a bit on your mortgage, which is amazing, because 90% of your mortgage payment went probably towards paying down the mortgage, which is fantastic. So, but the one thing is, the interest rates, just all I say is get the pre-approval. If you're even thinking about it, get the pre-approval done, lock it in, and don't start looking and then start shopping. You're probably, if most people know they're qualified to buy, but don't get pre-approved like a week before you buy the house. Get pre-approved now and lock in, just in case it goes up another 0.25% or whatever. Like you could save yourself over a long-term period of locking in of it could be thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's always good to lock in.
And what happens if you get that pre-approval and then you decide not to buy? Is there any downside to that?
There is no downside. No, it's good for 120 days. And then you're good to go. Like, I know a client of mine, they bought a brand new house, but they will do their pre-approval. They say February is a closing date. I think it's going to be sooner. So if you go October, November, December, January, so 3, 6, 9. So they have to go probably November to get pre-approved, like to get to lock in a rate in November. So hopefully the rates in November are decent. And then they'll be locked. And if it goes up even half a point or a point, they will have that lower interest rate reserved for them that they can lock in at, which is good. But that's the hard thing about buying a house a year in advance. And this wasn't a year. This was probably about 8 months, 9 months.
It's a long time for a house closing, isn't it?
It is a long time, because economic things change. I've seen people where this is honest to God truth. I remember this one in 2017, and I'm sure it happened in 2022. So we sold a house. We got great money for our seller, and then two stories. The buyer that was buying his house wanted to delay the closing date, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting scared, because I knew the market was shifting down. And so we said, we want a bigger deposit if you want to change the closing date to a later date. So we did. When that guy took possession of that house, and I think it was $365,000. That house wasn't even worth probably $300,000. So
wow,
that is scary. Now, another scary point is a lot of people, when they do the long closing date, even if it's a resale home, and they buy a house, right? They purchased it, right? And they paid in a high market. And they say, oh, we got lots of time to put our house up for sale. Even if they delay putting their house up for sale for 60 days in a market that's going down, it could cost them $100,000. And they bought that other house based on the price that at that day that they were going to sell that house on that date that they had the agent, evaluate the house. And then if they wait too long, that price of that house could change, especially in a fast down market, which we experienced in 2022, 23, and even in 24. It just, like, for 3 years, it just slowly came down and down and down. So you buy a house and you're thinking you're going to get $1 million for your house, but really you're only going to get 900, and it hurts. It hurts. And so you got to be careful, and you got to know the market. You need an experienced realtor. I always tell people, like, I go, guys, be careful on who you hire. I go, anybody can put a for sale sign on the front lawn. Anybody can do that. A guy, and then they just put it on MLS, but it's all behind the scenes stuff that you really have to worry about. The negotiations, talking with the other realtors, marketing, all that kind of stuff, and dealing with other realtors. Having the experience could make the difference of probably $50,000, you know, $20,000 to $50,000 less or more in your pocket. And you have to be very careful on that.
Well, even more than that, Rob, it can make the difference between selling the house or not selling the house. What do you recommend right now in this current market? If someone wants to move, should they sell their house first or buy a house? Because that's always depending on how the market's going, right?
Yeah, it's okay to buy a house as long as you got a condition a condition for you to sell your house. And what it is that on the offer you put, it's called an escape clause, and it basically says, hey, if we get another offer, we need 48 hours to decide whether we're going to firm up or let it go. It doesn't mean the other offer that's coming in has to match or better the first offer. Sometimes it's lower. We just want to get this thing sold. And so, but they would have 48 hours to remove all the conditions and firm up on it or not. So by that time, sometimes when that happens, they've had their house up for sale for 2-3 weeks. And it gives them a good indication whether they want to firm up or not, or they have to reduce the price, or if they really, really love the house and they don't want to lose it, they're going to have to sharpen their pencil on the price of their house. But yeah, I would buy first, put a condition on it, but don't go in firm. You know, because it could bite you, and you can get the wrong information from the wrong realtor that can end up costing you. And I've seen that where a realtor told this one guy he can get $350,000 for his house. This is many years ago, but at the end of it, he finds out that his house is only worth $300,000. So it actually cost him money. And so you got to, again, wrong information from the wrong realtor. And I'm not discrediting realtors, but I think sometimes each realtor, when they're fairly new, or they shouldn't be part-time, and there's a lot of part-time realtors out there, but they should have somebody that they can depend on in their office that can help them with managing the price and making sure that the client's taken care of. This is one of the most expensive investments that people have. You know, like, you shouldn't have somebody that doesn't understand or know the market or anything like that put your house up for sale. Everybody's, you know, and I get it. Like there's a lot of realtors we hire, we train, and we've got the best training system out there when it comes to realtors. Even our like, we're a sub brokerage. Our broker even said, he goes, we got the best graduating class of all teams out there. So when you're with the Golfi team, and you are the training that we give you and the experience and the knowledge that we give you, if you decide to go on your own, you're going to become very successful on your own as an agent, just because of the fact of the training that we have. And like I said, we have the best. We got the best graduating class of all teams out there.
Well, they're representing the Golfi name, which is, of course, your name, Rob, right? Rob Golfi. And so I imagine that's really important to you, that you have people out there that are representing you in the way that you want to be represented.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then when people go off on their own, it's like the little birdie, you know, they decide they have to fly.
Aww.
Yeah. And they go on their own, and they ask me to help them, and I will help them. I do help them. It's amazing how many realtors out there that have worked on my team in the past 25 years, and how successful they are still today, and very successful. And so it's nice to know that that I've taught some people, and a lot of them, they credit me too. They tell people, say, Rob, if I went on any other team and became a member of another team, a real estate team, they probably would not know as much information and experience as with us. And I know I'm tooting my own horn, but I do. The stats show, the numbers show that we have a great graduating class from the Golfi team.
No, it's great to hear. And, it's always nice for every one person I think that comes back and gives you a compliment. There's always like 10 more that think about it, but just never do. So it's great to hear. And we are talking to Rob Golfi from the #1 REMAX team in Canada, the Golfi team. And Rob is going to be sticking around with us here on the Golfi Real Estate Show. If you're looking for a house under 500K, good news. He's got that for us coming up here on CKTB News.
I know the importance of hiring the best agents.
I'll take a photo of your house and post it on the World Wide Web.
Next,
our multi-million-dollar marketing system reaches tens of thousands of potential home buyers every day.
Go to robgolfi.com and put the best team to work for you.
Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show. I'm Steph Vivier, and Rob Golfi is with us today talking all things real estate. You might not believe this considering how the market has been for the last few years, but there are a number of homes under $500,000 out there in Ontario for sale right now. In fact, they're taking up a bigger share. Isn't that right, Rob?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So Ontario's seeing noticeable increase in homes valued under 500,000 according to MPAC. Now, data cited in the article, nearly 24% of Ontario homes now fall below 500,000 compared with 17% in 2022. So things are dropping, but there's an important catch though. Condos are driving much of the improvement. So now about 46% of condos are now valued below 500,000, compared with the 24% in 2022. What's happening is the developers built a lot of these small, tiny little condos, and nobody wants them. The builders built them. They thought they were printing money, and they were at one time, but now, because of this economic downturn, they're getting stuck with them. So what a lot of developers are doing right now, they're converting those condos into 2 units instead of 1, just because people don't want these small, tiny condos. Like, you could fit a bed in there, hardly any room for closet space, a little kitchenette and a bathroom, and it's kind of like a bachelor unit, and there's no room for anything. So they need to change that. So, but anyway, but there are a lot of places now under 500,000 because of the change in the market. Now, townhouses equals 5% under the 500,000 mark. I know it doesn't seem that much. Semi-detached 15%, detached homes 18%, compared with 2016 when 60% of the detached homes were below $500,000. I remember those days 10 years ago. You could easily find, I remember when I bought my house, my first house, it was $120,000. Our family moved in there. The next house, I think it was $250,000. Then the third house was 550,000, which was a big jump. And that was in 2004, which equals probably about 1.5 million, maybe today. I don't, somewhere around there. And then from there, I renovated a bungalow, and I bought it for 450,000. So but I ended up selling that house 450, and that's what, and that house is probably worth I'd say 3 to 4 million right now. So. And I put a lot of money into it. The one I bought for 450, I totally gutted it and renovated it inside and out and landscaping. So I had my cost on that 450. I had as much in there as in landscaping and in renovations at that time than what I paid for the house. So I paid quite a bit. I paid quite a bit of money for that. But under the 500 now. I looked in Niagara, and there is an abundance of, there's some good deals out there. The one thing is, I'll tell you, if you see a house and it's under 500,000, that's great. Now, if you see a house under 500,000 that's been on the market for 2 months, that's even better for you to look at that house.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Why do you think it's a better one to look at? Because
there's room to negotiate on that. There's room. Now, don't think, so here's the thing. Like, let's say the house is at let's say it's 500,000, but really the house is worth maybe 380, right? It's probably worth 380. They're overpriced. And you go in and negotiate 425,000. You didn't get a good deal. You got a good deal based on the price that they had it listed for, but you didn't get the market value deal that you should have gotten. So you got to be careful on when you're negotiating what is the value of that property. And then you got to show, your realtor's got to show the other realtor that this is the reason why we came in. Here is the other 3-4 houses that sold in the area that are very comparable, that sold for the 380 to 400,000. So be careful, because you got a deal off the 500 doesn't mean you got a deal. It just means that you paid less, but you probably overpaid still. So you got to be careful. I saw a bunch of $400,000 houses available in Niagara. They looked like pretty good deals, but I saw one in particular that was on the market for over 60 days, and I go, whoa. It looked like it was renovated. It looked like there's got to be something about this house that it hasn't sold, especially at $400,000. And I'd like to take a look at that myself, because it seems like it's a good deal, but maybe there's more room on the price. Maybe you can get it for $350 or whatever. Maybe it is only worth $350. But those are the things you have to look at when you're looking at buying a house, no matter what price range you're buying at.
Yeah, lots to look at there. But then when you talk about that, okay, so the condo market, that has to be considered here. Are there areas like, does Niagara, does Hamilton have these homes? Where should people be setting their budget? You know, I hear that a lot. Like, I can't even get a house. There's no way I can buy a house. So is there geographic areas that we should be thinking about?
Yeah, there's less in the better areas. There's no doubt. Like, you know, if you go toward like the south end of St. Catharines, you'll find a lot. But if you can find something like that in the north end of St. Catharines, that even better, because you're in a better area, because most people want to move to the north end of St. Catharines, north of the Queen Elizabeth Way. In Niagara Falls, it would be like the north end there is like, you know, the downtown core area. Like if you can find something more south end, a south end of Niagara Falls, or actually north end. I think that where the downtown is. I'm not sure if that's east or west there. But if you can find something in the north end or south end of Niagara Falls, fantastic. You're in a good location. The value will increase really nicely. You're in a good, you know, and people want to move in those areas. But if you're in a tough area, like in old areas of different cities, you can find them, but you can have problems. It depends on the neighborhood. You really got to know the neighborhood. So it's very, very important when you're negotiating to find a good deal, but make sure the neighborhood's right. But you know, like we had so many people coming in from Toronto and bringing their Toronto agents and coming into Niagara and Hamilton, and they say, wow, these are great prices. And they negotiate a deal, even though they were overpriced. And even though they negotiated an overpriced deal, because the Toronto agent doesn't know the area. They don't know. Right. So it was great for the local realtor that had it listed. He looks like a hero when he's selling. He goes, yeah, we got like, you know, great money for this house. And you know, and meanwhile, you have to wait for another Toronto buyer with a Toronto realtor that doesn't know what he's doing or doesn't know the market to come in to buy the next house in that same street to get the same price, because the local realtors know that was like an anomaly. Like it's not going to happen again. It just doesn't. And so you got to be very careful on who you pick. They know the market. They know the area that you're buying in. Like we had somebody that wants us to sell a house in Markham. We pass it on, we refer it, or even they want us to help them buy a house. Like we try to stay away, because we do have access to information, but we're not living and feeling the market there. You know what I'm saying? And so you really got to know and feel the market, and that makes a huge difference.
Definitely. So if people bought, you know, these houses that are now sub 500,000, they bought at the peak, should they sell now? Should they wait a little bit?
I think if they're selling, you know what, the market's not going to change that much in the next year. So just sell it, but price it right, sell it at a good price. And if you're selling and buying, it balances out no matter whether the market's low or the market's high. It works out to the same. If you, like I had one guy, he had his house listed for $1.2 million in Fort Erie. And I said, your house is worth $1 million. I said, you got a beautiful house. Fort Erie, to get over $1 million, it's a that's tough, you know, but it's a gorgeous bungalow. I mean, if that house was, you know, in a different area towards into Niagara, I would buy it because it's got everything. And so he kind of realizes it. And but the thing is, he's sitting. I can't even remember what I was saying, but he's sitting there with this price. He didn't like what I had to tell him, but he accepts it. He accepts it, and you know, it's tough. Pricing a house is tough, and telling the homeowner it's even tougher because they, you know, I mean, that's the hardest part of our job is telling them what what a willing buyer is willing to pay, and it's not the number what they feel it is.
Yeah, I can't think of, you know, it's like that anticipation. You can almost picture the anticipation on people's faces. They're waiting for you to tell them that you're going to hand over a lottery amount of money to them, and you got to be realistic.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it is tough. And then as soon as they hear the number, either they want to kick you out of the house real fast. They can't wait to get rid of you. Let's get the next agent that's going to give us a high number. Let's who's the highest bidder? But yeah. it could hurt them more in the long run if they keep listing at a high price and then they end up reducing. So they got to be careful on that aspect of it.
We're talking to Rob Golfi. This is the Golfi Real Estate Show. Now, there's all kinds of things that can kill a deal, Rob, but what about mom and dad being the deal killers?
Oh, my gosh. They do kill deals. So, okay, I'll give you, there's a scenario I'm going to give you here. And let's say your 28-year-old daughter finds a house she absolutely loves. It's within her budget. Great neighborhood. Inspection identifies an older furnace, some windows that eventually need replacing, and a basement that shows evidence of previous leak that reportedly has been repaired. Now, dad walks downstairs for 5 minutes and says, absolutely not, walk away. She listens. The house sells to somebody else. 6 months go by. She's looked at 40 homes now. She hasn't found anything nearly as good. Did dad protect his daughter or cost her daughter the right house?
Uh-oh.
It happens all the time. So especially if mom and dad are helping out with the down payment a little bit, it happens. So the key thing is, who do they listen to? Like, I hate getting involved in trying to tell the daughter, I think this is the right house for you. This is what the cost is if you do buy this house. And the father, he hasn't looked at any houses. This is the first house he's looked at. The daughter loves the house, and there's no way he is absolutely. And it happens all the time. And a lot of parents kill deals. Then after the kids, they figure out they don't even bring their parents in anymore. They just say, we bought a house, and that's it. We'll show it to you when we take possession. You can drive by it. Here's the house. And the parents, they realize they messed up that deal. They realized it. And then they'll stay out of it. But again, a good realtor will tell that girl, listen, this is what you need, and just look out for it. And those were. Sorry.
Because you have people. No, I'm just saying, like, obviously, like, if you're a young person, you've never bought a house before, and you're very close with your mom and dad, you're going to put a lot of weight into it, especially like you say that a lot of parents are giving the down payment right now. So they feel like they have a say.
Absolutely, absolutely. But the great thing that all the banks have is it's called a Purchase Plus Improvement Program. So, like, for instance, like, because it needed, it needed some leak in the basement's been fixed, windows and furnace, they have a Purchase Plus program. So let's say the house is $550,000, right? And you put in your down payment, and you need about $10,000 or $20,000 to fix up these things. The bank will give you that $10,000, $15,000 and roll it into your mortgage, so it's not like you're paying a high interest rate. And they'll roll it into your mortgage as long as you qualify for that mortgage amount, and you can replace that without anything. They'll do kitchens, baths. They'll even help you finish basements if you want to put an in-law suite in there. The Purchase Plus program is ideal for the first-time buyer to get a house that the furnace is working. If it needs new shingles, you negotiated a great deal off the price of the house because the shingles needed to be replaced. And shingles is not cheap anymore. You're looking at sometimes some $7,000 to $15,000 on an average house, depending how big the roof line is and everything else. But there's opportunities out there that even the parents maybe not even know about it. And if they knew about it, they would say, you know what, that works. You know what, you can buy this house for this much. Your mortgage will be $10,000 more because you're going to fix these things because the bank's going to give you the money. It's no money outlay out of your pocket or your Visa or anything like that. It's just rolled into the mortgage. And it's good. But so many parents do kill deals. That happens. You talk to any realtor, they'll tell you. And it's tough. I feel sorry sometimes for the kids that are buying because they realize they lost the right house for them.
Wow, you got to really think about who you have advising you when you buy a house. Of course, one of the biggest decisions you will ever make in your life. This is the Golfi Real Estate Show. We're chatting with Rob Golfi. Stick around here on CKTV News.
I was just worried about not getting enough money for the house.
We get that attracting the highest offer for your home is your top priority. Hey, it's ours too. Our one-of-a-kind marketing system will get you top dollar.
Golfi gets it sold.
And welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show. I'm Steph Vivier. Rob Golfi is with us. Rob, just before the break, you were talking about when mom and dad kill the deal. Is one of the other problems, too, that mom and dad are sort of stuck in the real estate market, maybe when they purchased their last home, which could be, early 2000s, even late 90s?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They look at the price and they just can't believe it. And they haven't been looking at the market like the kids have, because the kids are usually on realtor.ca looking at the prices and actually the buyer, usually the kids, they know the prices of homes better than even the realtor in that market. They do. Like so for instance, let's say the girl comes to me and says, Rob, I think this is the neighborhood we want to be in. This is it. They know the neighborhood. They know the pricing. How I will find out that neighborhood, because I can't know every single neighborhood in all the different cities and towns, but I do know areas. Now I would do my deep research, do a deep dive research, and find out what's going in the area. So I can find out the private for sales, I can find out the current sales and what's active, what's expired that she wouldn't have information on. And I'll say, hey, you're pretty accurate, pretty close on your number, but I think we can push a little harder because I got some information that can push the number a little less to help you get a better price for the house. And that's our job to do that. Now, a lot of realtors sometimes don't even do the research. They say, hey, they're asking $500. Let's go in at $450. I think you got a good deal. And meanwhile, it's not a good deal. So you got to be careful with that. That's one aspect of it. Buyer's remorse. Sometimes buyers do get, buyer's remorse. Sometimes the parents push the kids to buy a house that really wasn't for them. And, it becomes a tough situation. And so we do have our guarantee. If you don't like the house, that you bought, and we will sell it for you for free. As long as you buy.
Wow, you don't get that guarantee with other realtors.
Yeah. No, we just did one. They didn't like the house. They moved in and it was terrible. So we put it up for sale. We sold it, and they bought another one, but they did not. They didn't like the house that they moved into, and we have that guarantee that we will sell your house for free. If you aren't happy with the house that you bought.
And that's only with the Golfi real estate team. All right, Rob, home inspections, we're back to being able to do those, right? During those crazy 2021, 2022 years, people didn't even get time to do that. They had to throw out a number and hope the house was good. But thankfully, we're in a more balanced market where people can do home inspections. Now, generally, if I'm buying a house, I'm going to hire my inspector. I'm going to get that report. But sometimes I guess the sellers will do the home inspections.
Usually, it happens. So in a really fast market, sometimes I see this a lot in the GTA. Because they're holding offers, meaning like the house is going up for sale. You can view it, but we're dealing with offers on a certain date. Sometimes the seller will pay for the home inspection or the realtor to give the potential buyer, whatever buyer becomes. There could be 10 buyers for this, 10 offers. So they give them the home inspection so they know at least what's going on. Now, I've seen that happen. Now, apparently, there was an article in the paper that the inspector promoted the idea of emphasizing positive aspects of a property and placing negative findings later in the report. He also claimed claimed buyers would skip obtaining their own inspection about 75% of the time when a pre-inspection was already available. I wouldn't. I'm going to tell you something. If I'm buying a house and the homeowner had a home inspection, I'm still going to do my own. I'm not going to. I'm not going to, like, I just think I need an unbiased opinion. I don't need some, like, that inspector is working on behalf of the seller, so he's going to lighten things up. And I truly believe you get your own your own inspector all the time. That's it. And picking a good home inspector, it's tough. You gotta interview these guys. You gotta find out what their credentials are and look them up. Like, you don't, again, a guy that has a building background, sometimes you see a lot of retired guys that, they built houses or they're in construction and stuff like that, become home inspectors. They know behind the scenes, behind the walls. They know all that kind of stuff. I've learned over the years, just looking at thousands of homes, what to look for, even sometimes better than the home inspector. But they've got tools that they can see, if there's any moisture behind the walls. You can't get every one of them, but what's behind the walls you don't see, right? But I truly feel you should always have a home inspector when you're buying a house, if you can do it. And right now in the market that we're in, you should right now have a home inspection clause, finance clause, or whatever, or if you have to sell a house, selling a property, selling your house clause. And now, as we talked about last time, insurance clause, because you want to make sure you're not in the flood area.
Yeah. So how do you, what kinds of questions would you ask? How do you know you're getting a good home inspector? Would you go by referrals? Like, what are you asking when you talk to these people? Yeah,
referrals. You go by referrals. You try to Google, find out information, find out how long he's had his license. And I think there's a association that they belong to. Find out how long he's been a member of the association. Just do research. Don't find the best. Listen, don't look for the guy that's got the best deal, because you're not getting, how would you like to buy a house and you hire a guy that was the cheapest home inspector out there, and then you find out when you move in, you got some structural issues on the house? Okay, now structural issues on a basement, like on a foundation, sometimes you can't tell because if everything's all finished. But if there is structural issues, you're gonna have water problems. But if he misses something, you're stuck with that. Can you sue the home inspector? Well, guess what? He makes you sign a form saying that the most you could sue him for is what the cost of that home inspection is.
And what do they cost? Like, what's a home inspection?
You know what? They're probably about between $400 and $500 a home inspection. Yeah, which
is literally nothing.
Well, if you're buying a $600,000 house, yeah.
Yeah, you can't spend $500,
Exactly. But you got to be careful though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to make sure that he knows what he's doing. He's got all the tools. And I remember it's almost in my second year in real estate. And this couple ordered a home inspection. They didn't even show up. The couple that bought the house.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
So I'm representing the seller, right? So it's not my client. So I'm there, and the guy's walking around the house. Oh, furnace looks good. Check mark. He goes, bathrooms look okay. Check mark. He didn't even check anything. He looked at the furnace based on how nice it looked. He didn't look at it and say, hey, listen,
check the filter.
Exactly. I couldn't believe somebody hired this guy. And this guy was in and out in probably, I don't know, half an hour, 20 minutes. And I'm like, I feel sorry, whoever uses this guy, and I don't know if I doubt he's still in business. Eventually, there's some good
go-to home inspector. You're telling me that's not who you work with, right, Rob?
No. And you got to be careful because home inspectors do miss things. They do. And it's hard to catch anything. It's hard to catch anything that's behind the walls. But the one thing is, I'll tell you, like when I walk into a basement, I look at the corners and see if there's any watermarks, and even the carpet. Like sometimes you go in the corners and first of all, go outside, look at the downspouts where they are, and then go in the house and see if there's any water issues there. and that's an easy fix. The downspouts, you can make sure you put a drainage thing that goes away from the house. But look in the attic. That's one thing. A lot of things. A lot of times, like just we were talking about last couple of weeks about the guy that hired somebody to put the roof in, the shingles, and he didn't do the openings for the vents. So it built up. It built up mold in his attic. So now this roof is going to get all replaced with new wood and new shingles. And so, like, even though it looks good on the outside, but inside it's cooking, and it's going to cause problems. And it's going to cause you some health problems. Looking at wiring, especially older houses. Look at the switches. Those are key things you have to look for. And see how they see if there's animals in the attic, or there's so many different things, like, furnace, how old the furnace is. I see these old Grimsby furnaces. I'm not sure if ever seen those. They're still around. There's this company, and it says Grimsby on it. And those furnaces, I'm telling you, were built like a tank. They were built to last forever, and I still see them out there. The only reason people replace these furnaces is because they're old, but they run pretty good, and they're probably not as efficient as the new ones, but they still run. They still, those are something you look at, whether do you want efficiency or do you want something that's going to last forever. What else do you look at? Windows. If they're wood windows, I think the last set of wood windows that went in were in the probably 80s. Windows last a long time right now. Like all vinyl windows, but there's some aluminum windows out there and some wood windows out there. They need to be replaced, and it's tough because windows are expensive now to replace. And so people are looking for that. So you have to show the expense. That's where you use a purchase plus home improvement program. Furnaces, purchase plus home improvement. And same thing with kitchen. You could have the right house, the most beautiful house, and you say, listen, this kitchen's dated. Most young people are buying it. They're going to end up living with it because it's expensive to replace. Just again, do the purchase plus. You just got to look at everything, wood floors, everything. Even get a drainage. Like if there's a lot of big trees in the area, or there were a lot of big trees, you got to look at your drain to make sure it drains well. Because sometimes a lot of people in older areas, they have to get Roto-Rooter or somebody to cut all the roots that are going through the lines underground, and they have to do that once a year. So you gotta be careful and watch the age of the house and the trees that have been growing in the area. And if there is a big tree on your front lawn, chances are it's getting into the weeping tile, or not the weeping tiles, but into the sewer drains. And the sewer drain, the old ones aren't as strong as the new ones that they put out there right now. The water that is leaving the house. So you got to be careful on everything. Look at everything, and a home inspector doesn't have. I don't think they have a camera that looks down the drain, but that is one that could save you money. I know, and it costs money to get somebody to look at it. But if it's the house that you want, and you think you're going to be there for a long time, it's worth getting somebody to look at it.
All right, Rob, lots to think about there. Thank you so much for outlining all of that. And tell me if this is not true. I hope you wrote this down incorrectly. Tell me there's not listings out there in August 2026 where photos of the home have snow in them. Please tell me this is houses in the Arctic that you're talking about.
There is. I was just looking at one. I was looking at a house online. I'm going, you gotta be kidding me. I go, it has snow in it, and we're in August. Like even if it's in like May, this shouldn't have snow in the picture. Like we go out and we get our photographers to reshoot photographs as the seasons are changing. And sometimes you get a snowfall in April, and we happen to have our photography going out there. We have to reshoot the outside again, probably within a month later, less than a month, just because of the snow that, how we get those late snowfalls that happen. And, but there are agents. And if your house is currently on the market right now and there's snow in the picture, fire that agent. Agent. Yeah. Especially in the middle of the summer. That is the thing you have to do, because they're not paying attention. And sometimes the homeowner's not paying attention because the last time he looked at his listing online was when it was winter, and now he hasn't looked at it because, but the agent should change that picture, whatever season it's in.
Wow. And some of these houses are $1 million, Rob. Like you can't ask them $1 million and you don't have an updated photo.
We have technology now. We can take a picture, aerial shot of the house with snow, and it actually will bring in how it looks with no snow, like greenery and everything else like that. Even on the shoreline on the lakes, it's amazing now what artificial intelligence can do now with pictures. It's amazing. You can get a winter, summer, fall picture all the same, and so with artificial intelligence, all they have to do is just put it through AI, and it'll take the snow away. Easy, simple.
That's it. Really no excuses, right? Rob, no excuses at all. You don't even have to send somebody over to the property.
No, you don't.
Although the Golfi team does, just to be clear.
Yes, we do.
All right. Well, Rob, I'm thankful that the only white stuff I'm seeing right now is your beautiful white jacket and not snow on the ground. I'm going to enjoy this summer for hopefully about 6 more weeks or so. Always a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And it's my pleasure.
That's Rob Golfi from the team in Canada, the Golfi team. Give them a call. Find out how they can help you with all of your real estate needs. 905-641-0308. Online at robgolfi.com. This is CKTV News.